Shalom, Koholoi Hawaba Shemawashai, Bahashem Wakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered, hopefully elect that be like unto the speckled bird, that are mixed in with the heathen around the four corners of the earth, the Israelite foreigners, and the Akwaf that are listening and learning. To you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. This is Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, starting at verse 1, and it reads, Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the year draws nigh when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. All right, because see, now there's no pleasure in America. There's no pleasure in Babylon the Great. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those look out the windows be darkened, and see the grinders have ceased. 3.3 million jobs. Projections, and that was just last week's count alone. So what about the week before that? And now they have a projection for the next couple weeks of 25 million. But yet, they'll say that the stock market is doing okay. And then it says, and they look out of the windows and they be darkened. People don't see a future anymore. So I just, before I even sat down to do this, I was listening to a clip on the news where they were talking about substance abuse places are ready to open their doors as soon as the quarantine is loosened. They say how alcohol sales have skyrocketed. People are, I can imagine the drug dealers, especially those that dealing the type drugs that Esau likes, coke and that whole sort of thing. I imagine they're making a killing, with this legal marijuana stuff going on. All right, and it says, and the door shall be shut in the streets, and when the sound of the grinding is low. I haven't seen it with my own eyes, but I got reports from brothers that down where we teach on the highways and byways is a major concourse for foot traffic, for shopping, and that sort of thing. Hell, I remember when I was a small child, when I was a little kid, man, it would be so many people in that place that you couldn't even see the sidewalk. That's how many people would be on the streets. And it looks remotely nothing like that in these days. I mean, it was busy. As a kid, man, it almost looked like Times Square. And if you've ever been to Times Square in the middle of the day or at midnight, you know how many people are there. And as a small child, it kind of looked like that. You want to, it was just so many people on the street. You couldn't see the sidewalk because it was almost a person walking in every square foot of room that there was to walk. When you went down into the subway stations, you could barely see for the sea of people. Because this golden city, which is Babylon, is falling. It's ceasing. And it says, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird. That's your electric rooster, your alarm clock. Getting up to go search for jobs. But they're job losses. No jobs. Small businesses closing up. Can't pay their employees. Can't pay their rent. That's a new thing too. Was watching the brother from Middle Valley put up the video showing how the cheese place. What's the name of that place? They got chains. The cheese factory. are refusing to pay their rents. And I think they have 249 stores across America, something like that. And I know that here in Chicago, their biggest location, I don't know if it's more than one in the Chicagoland area, but the one here in Chicago is actually in the bottom of the John Hancock building. So I can imagine, you know, what that rent is, you know, on a monthly basis. That's a big nut to come up with, you know, for a squirrel to be getting. And the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And it's true, because music is garbage. The rappers today are garbage compared to the rappers of the 90s and the 80s. No, they just are. Collectively, they suck really bad. You know, there's a few standouts, but they're far from few in between. And the ones that do seem to make decent music, for some reason, that's not what's popular. I guess that's not what gets played. So without any further ado, let's let some of this video play. We're going to let about 5, maybe 7 minutes of it play. And without interruption, I'm just going to let it go through, because he says, I can't repeat it better than he says it. So let's take it back to the beginning.
Hey, guy.
Oh, yeah, this that disclaimer, you know, Fair Use Act. You know.
Welcome to the Silver Report Uncut. Now, I apologize in advance if the sound is a little off. I'm not in my normal location, but this needs to be covered now. We see an all-time record. 3.3 million Americans have just filed for unemployment benefits this week. It's shocking. We have never seen this many job losses this fast. And the International Labor Organization, they project that next week's is going to be the real bad one. That this was nothing, only the tip of the iceberg. They anticipate next week's filings will be upwards of 25 million people. Now, I can't take anything away from that an economic collapse is a health crisis. My view is that the health crisis is also significant, and we are underplaying the real threat from this. Now, the scary point is that this is almost double the expectations of 1.7 million on the data. Previous to this week, the largest we've ever seen was 695,000 during the week that ended October 2nd, 1982. And the service industries, they were hit hard. They also cited healthcare and social assistance, arts, entertainment and recreation, transportation, warehousing, manufacturing, and we're still seeing the production halts begin to work their way through the U.S. Now, yesterday, I brought up a fact that, you know, Amazon, if you notice, there's still a ton of items that take a month or more to get to your house, and they say they are having some delays. And we also see that Apple came out and they have delayed the release of their iPhone 5 because they said they have production issues. So these things are still not being manufactured. China's economy is still not operating correctly. And interestingly is that someone responded to this comment saying that maybe they're just moving manufacturing back to the U.S. and we're getting the U.S. back on track. We're really reviving things. And honestly, we see Caterpillar has halted production in the United States. Elon Musk the other day was, making a big fuss saying that it was dumb. Why would he shut down his thing? Now he has 2 employees that have been confirmed. Now they think the actual unemployment claims were much, much higher because several states had estimates or estimated claims. And the problem was they could not handle the volume of people that were filing. Several states had their unemployment websites crash, and they were running low or malfunctioning because of the massive volume of applicants trying to file at the same time. Now, the states that had the largest jump in advanced claims from the prior week were Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New Jersey. Now, Chris Dembick, he's from Saxo Bank, he said, keep in mind, an undefined number of claims went unreported as states' unemployment insurance program offices were overwhelmed by the massive number of applications, both by phone and online. Some states were informed that their phone lines were saturated and their websites crashed due to high demand. It means that next week's data might be very ugly. as well. Now we look at the four largest U.S. state economies that represent 1/3 of U.S. GDP, and that would be Florida, New York, Texas, and California. It seems like they're all having significant amounts of job losses at this point. Now, if you remember, Bullard from the St. Louis Fed came out and he anticipated we could see a U.S. unemployment rate of 30% in Q2. My biggest problem is the fact that they did this stimulus package already, right? And the main focus has been on giving taxpayer money to banks to create dollars. Now, Jerome Powell came out and said they're not just writing blank checks, and there is nothing that is wrong with the U.S. economy right now. Honestly, I don't have any answers. I'm not in the man's position. I have no idea what I would do because it almost seems like there are no answers at this point. What is worse? That's the reason we have created this program, because we told you that a crash was coming, the worst depression ever seen in the United States. The goal of this was that you would go out and to prepare yourselves as best as possible and to not listen to the lies telling you that the hit to the U.S. economy is going to be very minimal. I also suggest that the big banks putting out this information, we're going to have a V-shaped recovery, and by Q3, we're going to be soaring, our GDP flying off the charts. Keep in mind, the head of the central bank just came out and said there is nothing fundamentally wrong with the U.S. economy. 3.3 million jobs, something is wrong.
Something is definitely wrong with that cheese-eating grin on his face. Just a liar. I've always told you, beware of men with bald faces and phallic symbols hanging from their necks. Bald faces with a penis symbol hanging from their necks. And I love it when they wear white, because you can clearly see their skin is not white. Right? This is Job 13:4. Seems like this scripture comes out every week repeatedly. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. These men are liars, just giving false hope and lies. And the lies make absolutely no sense. This is last and final scripture. This is Isaiah, the 14th chapter and the 4th verse. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. And the king of Babylon right now, or at least the representation of it, the mouthpiece, is Donald J. Trump. And what an idiot he is. It says, thou shalt take up the proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased. The luster and the shine is gone from Babylon the Great, from the new Rome, from Egypt. Because America is spiritually all those things. And the end is nigh. The hope is gone, the mirth is gone. The mayor here shut down the walkways. The 606, which is over in Bucktown and in Humble Park. You know, the lakefront, the city walk along the riverfront, all that is shut down because Americans, or Chicagoans and Americans in general, are in defiance, and they're waking up to the bullshit. Is this disease real? This plague? Yeah, well, it was a manufactured weapon. Is it spreading the way they're saying? No, they're spreading it. It's not spreading the way they're saying. All right? And are the numbers that they're saying correct? More than likely not. It could be more, it could be less. I don't even know anymore. I don't know what to believe. The one thing that I do know is that they're using this. This is your Black Swan event, which is probably going to be another one. But they're using this as an excuse to crash the dollar. And they've already done it. And the mark of the beast soon follows. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Abashai Bashem Rakak Badash Wa Abba Babal.